AITA for not cooking Thanksgiving dinner and spending the day at the beach instead? I am not the original poster. That is you, horrible, wife 69. She posted in r, am I the asshole? Mood spoiler. Hopeful? Less than. Original post. November 16th, 2023. I, 27F, have solely been responsible for cooking Thanksgiving dinner for 20-plus people for the last 8 years. I do all the shopping, cooking and setting up. Months before Thanksgiving I start looking at grocery prices and tweaking recipes to fit dietary restrictions. Caribbean family, vegans and pescatarians, meat eaters. I also make enough for the college-aged kids to have leftovers. I usually make 3 turkeys, 2 party pans of mac and cheese and a party pan of mashed potatoes, stuffing, green bean casserole, collard greens, yams, mini seafood quiches, stuffed mushrooms, rolls and a salad from scratch. Plus all the desserts: apple pie, sweet potato pie, cheesecake, homemade ice cream and breads also from scratch. I start making stocks and doughs Tuesday night. I bake my bread for stuffing and make my cheesecake and pies Wednesday after work. Cook all day Thursday so we can sit down and start eating it by 4 so my aunts who work the nights shift as nurses can enjoy. Every year people invite unexpected guests and it becomes 30 plus. I would be okay if it were plus ones, but my mom invites her friends and their kids. My mom and aunt ask me to make additional turkeys and some sides for their units. I never feel appreciated for everything I do to make it special and accommodate everyone. This year I'm separated from my husband and I really don't feel like bending over backwards cooking for people who don't even leave me leftovers to make a sandwich the next day. This year I've decided not to cook and just spend my day at the beach. The only bonus to living in Florida. I was asked how much the adults should sell me for Thanksgiving groceries at the beginning of the month and I told them I'm not cooking. Today I received a Zelle from my uncle and when I returned it he asked why. I reminded him in the family group chat I wasn't cooking. Now they want me to cancel my plans and cook. Am I the off for not wanting to? Edit. This is my favorite holiday, but my separation has left me emotionally exhausted and without any passion to cook. Edit 2. Same post. November 17th, 2023. Next day. I don't actually mind the cooking for my family. I look forward to it. The unexpected guest a little. The thing bothering me is that I expected to do this year is that I wanted to celebrate the only holiday I look forward to with my husband. I wanted to share the dishes that I love and scheduled chaos with him. I'm upset because I don't get my husband. They may not understand it, but I took on this holiday because I enjoyed it. Relevant comments. The fact that everyone relies on you for all food is insane and you should all bring dishes. It's partially my fault since I'm neurotic when it comes to this particular holiday. I want traditional American food and they revert back to Caribbean roots. When I first started it was just family and that was 15 people. Now after a few marriages it's 20. Base that's without the 3 leaving to work the night shift at hospitals. I genuinely enjoy it, but with the stress of my separation I mentally do not have the fortitude to do it. A regular dinner for myself is hard enough to put together. We rotate holidays. New Year's and at Aunt 1's house. Easter and Christmas Eve at Aunt 2's house. 4th of July at Aunt 3's and Thanksgiving at mine. How TF do you cook 3 turkeys? Also Oop explains in a long comment here how she cooks everything down to exact times. Intervals. I start with a spatchcocked one early in the morning. For leftovers, I start the whole one at 11 a.m. and pull it out at 3 p.m. For dinner and the table. For the third I break it down into 6 pieces. Also use it for leftovers. That one goes in when I pull the whole one. More on the emotional toll this is taking on Oop. I've been going through a separation. I've lost 30 pounds this year because I don't have the passion I once had to cook nor an appetite. They've noticed my lack of cooking and commented on it. I'm usually okay with cooking for that many, but the emotional toll the separation has left me leaves little to no energy for anything but work and necessities. I eloped last year and they don't acknowledge the relationship being significant. I mentioned not cooking over the summer because I'd be with my husband, but in late October I was clear I wouldn't cook and to make other arrangements. How long have they known you're not cooking? I told them late October. I reminded them mid-November, and today when I received the money. Delegate. Tried delegating in 2021 after surgery and it was a mess, even though I was in the kitchen showing them how to do simple things like grate cheese or pass the potatoes through a food mill. They have all the recipes and exact ingredients down to the brand but choose to substitute cheddar with Velveeta and ask why it doesn't taste the same. Someone says OOP's mom should cook this year and OOP's response made me spit out my drink. The last good thing my mom made was breast milk. She's permanently banned from the kitchen due to almost fires and food poisoning instances. Oop is voted NTA. Update post. November 27, 2023. 11 days later. Excuse typos. Currently enjoying the small 4-pack of Woodbridge wine while watching The Crown with my husband by his bedside. More on that later. I actually listened to you guys and I didn't cook. The weather wasn't the best, so I didn't end up at the beach but sat by the pool, did some work and journaling. I enjoyed margaritas by the pool and wine at dinner. I don't know how I was able to drink all day and get everything done by 4 p.m. Dinner was late. We didn't end up eating until 6 p.m. so the people who worked that night just took to-go plates and couldn't eat with us. My mom called a few times from the kitchen asking how to turn on the oven, make a pre-made ham and turkey. My aunt asked for the recipes that I previously emailed and asked if I could come over and supervise. I ignored the calls and texts. I did end up carving 2/3 turkeys, ate and helped clean up and went back to bed. My mom's friend ended up bringing herself and 6 other people, empty-handed. The creepy family friend did the usual, show up empty-handed, eat, grab to-go plates and leave. My cousins were bummed they didn't get leftovers for finals. They were also shocked to see that their favorites weren't made and it didn't taste the same. No one took leftovers home besides my mom's friends. They cleaned us out. I think they finally realized how much goes into it because my aunt complained that she had to go to multiple stores even though she was making 1/3 of the food. My mom ordered from the fresh market and that was too much. Thanksgiving Day my husband and I spoke and had a great conversation about moving forward with the separation, what it's going to look like for us financially, and a rough timeline of when we should be legally divorced. Saturday morning I get a call from my husband's local hospital saying that he got injured while running. He had a stress fracture that resulted in a complete break in multiple places and needed surgery. Since I'm legally still his wife and he has not updated his emergency contact, I flew up and I am currently at his bedside hoping I can get his family out here to take over. He didn't expect to wake up with me being there but was happy and thinks we should try counseling. All in all, I'm emotionally drained. Working from his bedside. I should be able to take him back to our house tomorrow and get him set with his family and friends to take over. It's been nice being in a cold city and seeing him after so long, but I'm sure this marriage is over. Thanks for all the advice. My therapist actually told me I have to start putting myself first, and this was a good first step. Relevant comments. Anyone telling off the people who took leftovers? It's polite in my culture to send guests home with food, gifts. Even for a casual visit, I've sent people home with something as little as a few plantain or a few Pieces of fruit. We make so much because it is common for people to stop by unannounced for holidays. My creepy uncle has brought Tupperware or asked for leftovers at formal events. He's a physician and I've seen him do it at fundraisers I've attended for work. I hope you get some counseling and start putting yourself first. I called my therapist when I landed and she literally said, "We just talked about this, why did you drop everything?" And I said I'm still his wife and he'd do it for me. Which is true. My nail lady called me a dumb bitch and asked to pick up something from a store here we don't have back home. Why did you separate from your husband? Different religions, backgrounds and cultures. Honestly, we care about each other, but between communication issues and the fact that everything was rushed, we never really got to know each other, and after a few blow-ups where both parties said or did something inexcusable, it's better for us to call it quits now before we truly despise each other. We're back to a point where we can speak without attorneys, and clearly I'm here caring for him. Although sleeping in one of the guest rooms versus what uses to be our room. We just don't want to go back to where we didn't recognize ourselves or each other. Just because you're his emergency contact doesn't mean you have to go to him. Yeah, but that's still my husband. I personally felt like I had a moral obligation to be there until we could get his family stateside. He needed surgery and I know how much medical situations freak him. Plus, this also saved me the cost of shipping some of the items I still have here. Would he do the same? He has done so recently as well. I was hospitalized for dehydration a few weeks ago when things were contentious and missed mediation because of it. He left a work trip to be by my side, even though it was minor. We don't hate each other, we just don't work as a couple. It's polite in my culture to send guests home with food, gifts. It's the same in my culture. But those same people usually bring food or chip in for the meal. Fuck those people. My creepy uncle has brought Tupperware or asked for leftovers at formal events. He's a physician and I've seen him do it at fundraisers I've attended for work. Every time I worry about being a bit awkward at public events in the future, I'll remember that clowns like this exist and I'll immediately feel better. The last good thing my mom made was breast milk. LMAO. I like the different attitudes of the therapist and the nail lady saying the same thing. I hope Oop finds a good resolution to her separation. Seems like a good person and I feel bad for her. Op needs to work on setting better boundaries, letting go of control, and tip her nail lady 200% next time. I can't imagine having to cook for more than 8 people every single year for Thanksgiving, especially when you have to cook so much. I am happy Op decided not to cook for once and let the family to take over to see how much work there is. Even if the update isn't perfect, it seems that the direction is going smooth. I feel like communication and culture issues with her husband and the family not considering the marriage real might be linked. 90-day vibes for me maybe. This was why I started small gatherings as in my household. And everything is completely homemade, she's even shredding her own cheese. No pre-sliced veggies or Kraft mac and cheese. She sounds like a sweetheart. I'm glad she stood up for herself to her family. I would love to see the recipes for everything too. I would vote Oop YTA just for how hungry the post made me. I hope things work out for the best with her separation. I can't imagine doing this much work for a dinner. My family only did turkey for Thanksgiving 2 years and we just decided to make pozole or mole. After that, a lot less hassle and more enjoyable food for us. Today I added the word spatchcocked to my vocabulary. Would he do the same? He has done so recently as well. I was hospitalized for dehydration a few weeks ago when things were contentious and missed mediation because of it. He left a work trip to be by my side, even though it was minor. We don't hate each other, we just don't work as a couple. Well, this is way too healthy and mature for Reddit. How are people supposed to feed their drama llamas? I have extended family members who'll make themselves a togo plate before everyone's gotten food. Just put some on a plate container. Wrap it in foil and store it off to the side. I empathize with Oop. This is infuriating on so many levels. Watching someone cook for an entire army year after year and not offering to help even a little is one thing. But inviting more people when you're not the hostess is plain disrespectful. Also, if Oop wanted confirmation that they only see her as a workhorse and nothing more, seeing them still expecting her to do all that work after the rough years she's been having will surely do the trick. If you consistently show up for family, the least you should be able to expect is for them to rally around you in your time of need. But of course not. Also, I was very impressed with her cooking schedule. Made me suspect some level of neurospiciness. But the tidbit that irritated me the most is that she also had to carve the turkeys she spent all day cooking all by herself. They couldn't even do that much? Yeesh, talk about ungrateful and entitled. I can't imagine having a family member who is willing to do all this and take advantage by just inviting guests without even letting them know and taking all the leftovers. As somebody who helped take over when my mother developed Alzheimer's, so the rest of us basically took over so she could relax, I would say she normally did 6,070% and the rest would do some desserts and some sides. There can be so much food that I would relish people cleaning out the leftovers, as every year we still end up throwing out some. As long as they asked. I wouldn't even mind if people invited a few people as long as they didn't abuse it. My mother's cousin invited her brother, which we lost contact with and were very happy to see. He was able to see my mother for the last time before she passed 2 years later in April. But this family, man, I wouldn't cook anything for them. I will now and forever call my Tupperware. I like it much better. Oop and STBX sound like decent friends and terrible partners. I know some people who were engaged. It was terrible. They broke up and were inseparable best friends for the rest of his life, as long as they didn't have any romantic connection or live together. They were not only fine, but fantastic. Dear, you should open a food business, really.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Haircast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.